everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar, Small and Prefab Architecture Sharing Session. As part of the Prefab Glamping Villa Architecture Competition in Lombok 2020 organized by Bpa.Institute. My name is Francisca and I'll be your moderator today. I'm very excited to be hosting this session. As an introduction, Bpa.Institute is a new startup of architecture education, and this is our first webinar. In the future, we will arrange more academic events like this. First of all, I would like to read out our webinar rules. Participants should mute the microphone during the online seminar. It is expected to turn off the video except when the host or moderator asks to turn on the video. It is expected to take part in this online webinar from start to finish to get e-certificate. Prepare your questions for the Q&A session. The committee will select 3 participants to get the door prize. For the Zoom and YouTube participants, if you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to ask the questions in chat, and we will discuss it at the end of the presentation. Now, without any further ado, I would like to kick things off by welcoming our 3 speakers, Mr. Riri Jacob, Mr. Takeru Soji, and Mr. Budi Pradono. These 3 great architects are also the 3 main jury for the Prefab Glamping competition. For the first presentation, we will turn the time over to Mr. Riri. Time is yours. Mr. Riri?
Yes. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Riri. Today, I'm going to present my works in English, right, Mas Budi? Yeah, since my English is not too good, I wrote the presentation first in Bahasa, so I got translated by my designer staff last night. So please excuse me if I sound a little weird. Okay, shall we? Oops, sorry. Yeah. Okay. This is my idea for prefab modular system in-house design. It was only a concept. It was published on Idea magazine in 2011. Around 10 years ago in Indonesia, prefab construction was still considered quite expensive compared to conventional construction like this. One of the reasons is because the labor cost is way cheaper back then. So this is my house. Actually, for the floor, we were using composite ceramic modules, while the walls was using plaster wall panels. We call it gypsum panels in Indonesia. And then this is, I call it rumah nero or narrow house. It was built using an exterior fiber cement wall. It was also a hybrid structure. This one, another experiment of using a used container. Also, this project, we call it Japan House, is an exploration of renovation house that we superimpose with a Cremona steel structure as a plate and the second floor for the walls. This project also that I collaborated with Renkatili, we tried to using steel structure modules with a custom concrete sandwich panel floor. Okay. Kia cabin is one of the project that I designed in 2016. It started when one of my relatives mentioned to me that they want to develop their private land in Lombok. Later, it turned into the semi-permanent prefab building that we call it Kia Cabin now. So that's the place in the left corner. This one is the picture from one of the nicest beach in Lombok. This how we call it Gili. Gili is like a little island around Lombok Island. This is a traditional spicy food from Lombok. That's really tempting, right? Okay, this time I wanted to adjust the context toward the building that have different qualities of function and surrounding environment. Lombok itself, I think, have a surrounding character that leans toward vernacularity. It was more traditional, unlike Bali, which I feel is too dense and modernist. For me, it's not about representing the context by replicating the shape of the traditional house of Sasak tribe, like most of the villa over there, but I was interested in their local method and construction technique and implement into a more modern building. So this wood beam joint that we reference from typical Baruga building in Lombok. To improve the local thick wood, which consider moister than the one in Java, I asked the help of local woodworkers there to preserve the wood by burning it like more vernacular building, like in Europe or Japan, like this. Maybe Takeru more familiar with this method. All the woods was sourced from surrounding neighborhood garden that they personally collected as their local construction supply. We bought from them to build Kia cabin and also to share some fortune for the local citizen. So no woods were sourced from other outside the local side. So this is the process. Kia cabin is an affordable bungalow for mostly foreigner traveler that want to visit Lombok after their holiday from Bali. Usually that was the route they took. The site is located by the beach facing toward the north of bay, and in front of it you can see straight to an island called Gili Nanggu, Gili Kedis, and the other. By the way, Lombok Gili means an island. The size of the site only 400 meters square. Responding from the character of local residents housing, we divided the messing compound into 3 bungalows cabin and 1 restaurant cabin, while in the middle we create a pool as a share facility. Each cabin size are different from one another. We wanted to create a unique spatial and visual experience for each space. This is the first cabin with an attic concept. The area is following the wood piece of modules here. Inside the cabin, we have two beds with mini kitchen and sofa there. That concludes the interior area for only 16 meters square. This one is cabin with a rooftop. There's only a queen size bed with a different layout configuration. This cabin has its own sunbathing area in the second floor, the rooftop for more privacy. Here the sunbath area. This one is a cabin with steel house concept, or we call it rumah panggung. The cabin is designed in a raised platform to allow visual access from the inside. This cabin also have a different space configuration from the other. Okay. The last cabin is dedicated from the restaurant area, the communal area for other that it also function as kitchen, storage room, staff room. This cabin is located next to the road and more open towards the pool and the sea. This, I think, is the best spot from this restaurant to framing the beauty of Lombok Beach. This is one photo. Oops. Sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I forgot I have a video in my presentation. Okay, this one is another cabin project that we're currently working on right now in a different site. It's also in Lombok. Okay, the prefab journey continue in the first Bintaro Design District in 2018. We wanted to use this chance to continue our mission and do exploring about prefabricated building. This time we collaborated with our structural engineer to create design system, structure, as well as method and cost to get a better composition of prefab building solution in Indonesia. It was in 2018. We think prefab has become more feasible as a solution to modern architecture today. In our installation here, we try to create a simulation of material modules with a sandwich panel method. The model then being translated into a spatial form following the size of the prefab material model of 24 by 24 centimeter. And then the year after, which exactly last year, at BDD in 2009, we tried to collaborate with several fabricated material products to be a part of our next steps research. We hope by including them into our research, we can test the quality of those products to be implemented in our construction design method system. This time our exploration expand to several building typologies. Each typology represent a different material identities. This is the first one. We name it resort. Resort took model with size 16 centimeters as a dynamic configuration in a form of 2 stories. In the ground level was a bedroom. With the second level was the bedroom. The second part we call it retail. This one is designed to be more attractive with spatial and materially. It is a redefinition of a pop-up store using a semi-transparent material with a lighting plate to invite people. The small unit is only using one room models. Last but not least is the residence, we call it, which is the seed of prefab projects that we're currently developing now. Or you may know it as a RCFAB that I call. Here we use 2 modules that show a house living situation with a compact living approach. Here are some pictures from the exhibition last year. This school event actually was initiated by Mas Budi Pradono and Mas Aang also with Mas Dani Caksono. Here we can see Mas Budi at the left corner photo. Also, almarhum Ahmad Juara came to our installation, Marina Tabasum, and other friends around Bintaro district. And here are some bonus image from our newly completed RCFAB project in the past months. This is the first project that we have finished, and this is the second one. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Riri, for the great and enlightening presentation. As a reminder to all participants, you can ask your questions in chat. Now, without any further ado, we are going to the next presentation by Mr. Takeru.
Hello.
Hello, Akeru.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. So, can I start?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I will present one project to show how we can use local material and existing as one big possibility. So, I will share the file. I will present Hara house in Nakanoshima. This is a site. Hara house is located in the agricultural village of Tsurugasone in Japan. This site, each household has a big estate, and one estate has many buildings. A single estate contains an assemblage of buildings and farmland that are interdependent on each other. So this village is facing the same problems that many of Japan's villages are facing: a rural decline. Eventually, the client will inherit this large family estate, which similarly already has many built structure upon it, such as the main family house, a work shed, garage, and also vinyl house. Thus, in this setting, our design direction was to create a building that revitalizes the structure already present on site and have the potential to adapt to new function as the need. We started our design from conceptualizing a small building as an incomplete remote extension of the main house. The building is not fully self-sufficient and thus draws from its setting and relies on the surrounding buildings to fully function, and even engage the village to create a thriving community. This is the plan, first floor plan. This is second floor plan. This is the elevation. This is section. This is detail section. So also we try to use a local construction system. This building emulates its surrounding, which has many vinyl house like this picture and workshed, and all these of architecture buildings are using a small tiny beam, also column. We also try to use only 120 millimeter square timber members. All of material for structure is this size, this small size, 120 millimeter square. And we try to create a simple truss, A-frame truss. So in this site, we cannot get easily big beam, also big column. In this site, we can get cheaply and easily this size, this structure, this small structure, and very cheap. Also, this small material, even kids can carry easily, even women can carry easily. It's a very good point to influence how to use this local material. This easily carry is very important thing. This is a frame. All of this beam, column are made this 120 millimeter square timber. This is a detail of joint. We used this steel plate to joint small wooden frame. This is detailed drawing. This is a detail of joint. And this site has a big snowfall. We have to simulate how the snow will fall down, how the snow behavior. So it's very important thing. This also simulation by American Powder. This is a view from living room. Very simple roof. Just a frame. This is master bedroom. Thus, her house as a simple series of truss frame. I'm to connect all these entities by being part of the collective home of the village. It reinforces old and creates new connection with its surrounding buildings and community. Her house, this house, is a proposal of a small house that shows a new management system of a village, agricultural village, a way to revitalize a village that were formerly a collection of strong interconnections by using a local material and existing Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Takeril, for sharing and inspiring us. And again, as a reminder to all participants, you can still ask your questions in chat. Now we can move on to our next presentation by Mr. Pradono. Mr. Pradono?
Okay. Hello. Good afternoon. Wow, mati. Can I share my presentation?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think during the COVID-19 pandemic, recently put a spotlight on prefabricated architecture. When the hospital of Wuhan was constructed only 10 days, this is a created discussion about designing small prefabricated houses to use as glamping unit for MotoGP event in Lombok. I will present 3 or maybe 4 prefab projects that are small in terms of scale, yet quite challenging due to the location. Hopefully this presentation can inspire everyone to join this. I know that everybody knows this building. This is a Farm Road House in Illinois by Miss Van der Rohe. This is a small house which cover only 140 square meter compared to the 24 hectare of land. This is very brilliant structure, and I think this is part of the prefabricated. But my critique is that this is too independent to the nature. The second example is apartment building Habitat 67 by Moses Safti. This is also made of prefabricated concrete. This example also, I think, very separated with the nature. So my architecture is questioning the relationship with nature. So how we can design a prefabricated architecture from the nature itself. I believe that incorporating this natural material of the surrounding area into contemporary architecture is very important. So this is one of our buildings, a house in Pintaro. Even separated, but I try strongly to mix with the nature. Even I bring the plants into the house, inside the house. So this is very small projects compared to others. When we compare to Farm Road House in Illinois, this is maybe similar in terms of scale, but this is tiny. The size is only 9 times 4 meter or 36 square meter compared to the Ijen area, 2,500 hectares. So this place is 30 minutes from Bali. This is in Banyuwangi. So the idea is actually how to mapping the several mountains surrounded and making architecture for it. So after the mapping, then we can transform into architecture. My idea is stackable bamboo flats, which is not assembled in factory, but in the village. So it's, if every layer is made as a box, and then if we combine together, it is become a mountain. This is made independently by the people in Kintangan, in Desa, one of the village in Banyuwangi. Then if we stack, then it's creating the mountain. This is the film. So this is the result. This is only tourist area for bicycle competition in Banyuwangi. So prefabricated, made by people. The material is from there, so part of the nature. The next project is a cabin unit in Atambua. Atambua is located near East Timor. I lived there for around 4 months. And the part of the terrain is savanna. So palm trees are used to many different things. So it's very different with the Java area. So this, the palm tree called lontar, is a very interesting tree because people use for any kind of their lives. In the building material store also I can find the palm, the body, the leaf for their own architecture. So I was thinking to create new architecture with this kind of materials. So we can see surrounding that many people use it for the wall, for the roof, and even the fruits. People drink it. This one idea, when the infrastructure, they made infrastructure, actually they have leftover concrete. Then I designed these small things into small living space for people who working there. They just put that using the leaf of the palm trees of lontar as partition. So only small thing is important. The second thing is we call it a cabin. This is the size is 2.5 meter times 6 meter in size. Approximately is like 15 square meter. So I imagine that everyone in that region can make it themselves. So some part they make it window, some people can make this structure. So the main structure is the wood that they have. And we put a kind of wheels in the way in order to avoid permit from the government. So if we put the wheel, that means this is like temporary buildings. So people can make it this for Airbnb cabin. So this is very, very small, but it's separated with the toilet. It's only for sleeping and small pantry. So this, you can see the wall is made of, we call it Bpa. Bpa is a traditional part of this palm tree of lontar. And the other one use local woods that we can use in different area, in the mountain or on the beach. So this is the toilet unit, which is separated and also floating from the ground, with using the similar material. But we can use modern toilet, but we avoid water because water is very hard to get there. So this another one is a very small one. We call it Atambua tree house. But basically, we got an idea this from Woloan building in Sulawesi area, because they use this slate of wood as their wall. I imagine if they using the existing wood, we can create contemporary tree house. So this the last one I want to present. We call it Nusa Wood Tower. It's a kind of effort to create wooden tower, but use the local thinking of join. So we call it Nusa from Nusantara. So in the way we made a research of many building, many architecture, which has very rich in join. So this is the site in Drupal, how we make like 8 floors of buildings. It's a housing. See, the idea is making interlocking honeycomb structural system. So consists of laminated wooden beam, measure 30 centimeter times 30 centimeter, and connected to each other. And if we combine every honeycomb, it's become new architecture. We define this combination: 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, with elevator, corridors. So timber construction are used for centuries. However, intensive research and development brought new prospects of manufacturing timber, which provide architects and builders with opportunity to create the new ways of laminated timber. Yeah, actually in South Africa. So we made a model study to connect each of structure into big structure. In Europe, is a kind of timber is also a renewable resource, because like a country like Austria or Eastern Europe, they can grow every single day. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pradono, for sharing your design and experience with us. It looks like we have a few questions. And the first question comes from Edward to Mr. Takeru. It looks like the material is mostly from wood, and it looks like it's a really open house. So how does it protect the user from snow since it snows heavily as you said before?
Can I show the slide?
Sure.
this slide shows how the snow, what kind of behavior the snow. So we made a small house, and we covered a big shed, big hut by using a A-frame truss. So in winter, if we get a big snowfall, this housing like that, but life itself is still safe because of this big hut. This big hut, big white hut, is made by not wood, made by galvanized steel plate. So, and this big hut is very useful to save from snow. Also, strong sunlight in summer. So in winter, in summer, the life in this house is quite nice, very comfortable. Is it enough as answer?
Okay. We also have the second question also for Mr. Takeru. From Gasani Amalina, he said that it is a very interesting presentation about Hara House. The question is what the cover material in Hara House and how long the Hara House was built.
2 years. 2 years old after construction. And material
And,
what?
What the cover material in Hara House?
Galvanized steel plate. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Takeru. And also have the third questions from Damayanto. Regarding the temporary structure in general, what kind of solution or ideas used to tackle the problems with water supply, waste, and rainwater? Maybe we can start with Mr. Takeru.
Oh, excuse me. Which question?
Regarding temporary structure in general, what kind of solution or ideas used to tackle the problem with water supply, waste, and rainwater?
Not about Hara House. About this competition. Budi, could you help me?
Yeah, I think the question is if temporary building, the solution of tackle the problem of water supply, water, waste, rainwater, I think it's depend on the location. Like my project is in Atambua is very hard to get to water. So that's why the toilet is separated with the building. And also there's a harvesting structure to get the water. Maybe Riri has another answer.
Yeah, I think I agree with Mas Budi because in Indonesia we have a different context with the nature. So regarding to the idea for the competition, I think that's the solution that we need to get from the context of Lombok, especially in the area of Kuta Mandalika. I think the problem for water supply is similar with the other area in East Indonesia. So we need to think about how to produce and collect the rainwater for the main water for the building. Okay, that's the answer.
Okay, thank you. We also have the next questions from Farid Ramadan. This question is for all the speakers today. The question is there any standard or guideline to calibrate the prefabricated components of buildings, especially about the materials that we use for the prefab itself? For example, some people have speculation if prefab should be made by natural materials. So it looked like such a mandatory for a prefab building.
I think the definition for the prefabricated building is about the system. It's not about only the materials. It could be using natural materials or fabricated materials. We can use every material with their other solution. So we can use their modules for their materials. So we can get the construction for make a building more efficient and more easy to build.
I think I agree with Riri, yeah, because I think the system is very important in the way that you can understand the place, and very important to use the local material because of the community empowerment. This is important for the projects, since it's because in in 2001 when the MotoGP start, the hotel is not ready yet. So it's so then the people can stay in prefab. So it's very important to maximize to using the system that the community can make it. So it's community empowerment is very good. But the prefabricated is not only the materials, but also the system itself. So combination with the steel or with aluminum also possible. But the system is, because the system will make the construction faster enough to reduce the cost. That's my answer.
Thank you. And what about Mr. Takeru?
Yes. Okay. Everybody can use any material in local, but important thing is how to use and how to you should analyze the performance of this local material. Each material has each performance. So also each material should be used as each prefab system. So anyway, we are not just designer, we are engineer. So just analyze the performance of new material, local material. Thank you.
Thank you. And then there's also questions from Karisma Maulia. This question is for Mr. Riri that also has answered in the chat. But I will read out the questions. For Mr. Riri, see your first project house using prefab. How many percent cost construction can be pushed down than use conventional building? And how long to build your first project use the prefab? Mr. Riri, is there any answers to add?
Yeah, I've already answered in the chat room. Approximately around 20 until 30%, depending on how big the prefabricated constructed in that using of modules of the materials itself, because the building is more bigger and also it will be more construct and then the building is more lighter too. I think charisma means for the prefab building that I already built around this month. This is the first prefab building that I constructed in only 10 weeks. Okay, that's the answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Riri. And the next question comes from Severus Andrew to Mr. Pradono. With the perforated wall design, how do you ensure such privacy at Atambua project?
Yes, I think Atambua is very hot, so the privacy is depend on the person who live there. So basically, in the afternoon or during the day, we don't need any privacy because we always outside to do many activities outside. So I think the important thing is maybe like mosquito net, and they can bring their own fabric maybe to cover. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And then also from Ismail Amar, this question is for Mr. Riri, Mr. Pradono, and Mr. Takero. How about supplying sustainable electricity to every building? Maybe we can start from Mr. Pradono.
Yes, I think it's for the electricity is of course we have to depend on the government, but the site is we can build close to the community area which they have their own electricity. But we are, as a temporary building, we don't need a lot of electricity. Yeah, actually, or during the night, you know. So during the day, everybody is going out to do traveling, to watch the MotoGP, you know. No one stay in the villa. So it's I think it's a very basic need.
Yeah, I think another solution is using the solar panels or another sustainable resource power. Yeah, I think in Lombok is more we can use the solar panel because the sun is very hot around the day.
Thank you, Mr. Riri. Mr. Takeru, is there you want to add?
Of course, you can use any power generation system, but important thing is how sustainable for this site. So you can use wind, sunlight, seawater power, biological. So you can choose any way, but important thing is just which is the best, which is the best for this site. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have questions from YouTube from Cahya Dinata. He asks about the Kia cabins project. How do you anticipate the sea levels so the seawater doesn't enter the site? Because I see the distance of the site so close to the coastline.
Okay, we already researched about the sea level around the site. Actually, the area is they have the length of the sea level that not too high when it comes to full moons. So we already think about the height of the building, and also we have a solution for the gutter around the cabin unit. So it will help if the sea level increase to the area.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Riri. We also got questions from Andreas Christian. How to make the prefab building more meaningful in the context of the process for community? Because I think sometimes people who see short time of construction usually don't appreciate the result.
It's a hard question. Maybe Mr. Budi will guide us to make the answer.
Meaningful, that means is very site specific in the way that if we can use something similar what they can do. Yeah, for example, very basic system or very basic wood. Yeah, actually, I wondered that is a kind of joint system is actually from ancestor, from very old one, and maybe the new generation is forgot to do it. So this time is a kind of learning time for the new generation, that this kind of joinery system of old system is maybe is important again. So I think a long time ago, after the modernism, we never thinking about the localism, the smartness of indigenous system. But now after the pandemic, we have to stop a while and thinking more. I think now we understand that the system is very sophisticated in the way that, so if we can reusing it, then it's become meaningful again. So I think that is my answer.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Woody. Yeah, I think it's all about the mindset because the traditional building using the prefab method for their building, their vernacular way of building. So I think we should think again about how they can build their home, their building. So I think that's what's the meaning for uh, building itself. Not about only the definition of the prefab, but it's about how to how to generous about how to um, uh, make more architectural building. So yeah, please Takeru.
Yes. It's very difficult question. But I think prefab is the not mean prefab is not the meaning of temporary. Prefab can be permanent. So up to the system. So this is a very important theme of this competition. So 頑張ってください. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Takeru.
Welcome.
The next question comes from Adisti. She said that regarding from Mr. Budi Pradono said earlier that communities has the great impact to build a good building. The question is how much it is affected about how communities changing in this pandemic term, and as architect, how's your opinion about this issue?
I think the issue now is because during last 3 months, we almost stopped any activities. So we have to rethink, everyone can have to rethink about anything, about our lives, about the construction system. So because of the pandemic, so some project postponed, and I think it's a challenge for local people because it's another opportunity to have a new project in the future. So I think the involvement of communities creating new opportunity to many people. So it's a kind of, I call it domino effect, that if we think small thing that everybody can involve, like empowering people, like maybe some village can make only roof, some village can make a system, some village can make another floor. Yeah, some village can create a new food. Yeah, I think that is important. So it's creating new opportunities.
Thank you, Mr. Pradono.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we also have questions from Karisma Maulia also about the prefab construction. How about issue regarding the transportation of the material to the construction site? Maybe about the cost, the transportation cost, or maybe the traffic issue?
Hmm.
Okay, maybe I will answer first. In my experience in Lombok, the construction technique that we use, uh, we can use the like assembling method, not to use the one unit building and bring it to the site, because the location or the road in Indonesia is yeah, it's more difficult to bring the one full unit of the building, and then we need to make some cutting materials by pieces and bring them to the site and assembling at the site after that, because due the location consideration that I experiencing in Lombok.
Yeah, I think I also had a similar experience with Riri while I did the project in Lombok in the mountain when we use containers, and it's very difficult. So in the way that we have to break down, dismantle this building into piece and reconstruct it on the top of the mountain. So I think it's how to make a system of modular system that they can avoid to bring the big things, but instead of that we have to use bring the piece and combine it into one building. Thank you.
Thank you. What about Mr. Takeru?
Yeah, same as Lily and Buddy. So each specific site has each material. So you should bring up a special material in this site. So, and also efficiency to transport is very important. So that's why Lily also Buddy also me also try to use a small material. So okay, thank you.
Thank you. And we also got another question. I guess this is for the competition from Severus Andrew. Can you suggest a few potentials in Lombok?
Sorry.
We've got another question from Severus Andrew. He has, can you suggest a few potentials in Lombok?
Oh, ask Mr. Google. No answer.
Yeah. We also got questions from Francis Surja Seputra. Any ideas how to waterproof the glamping concept using local materials?
Maybe
I think it's part of the research for this competition.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then questions was from Rama Putra addressed to Mr. Pradono regarding the cost of the project in East Indonesia, such as Atambua and Lombok. Is the use of solar panel an appropriate solution?
Yeah, I think that is an appropriate solution. I think it's very good. Solar panel. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like we have covered all of the questions. So Mr. Riri, Mr. Takeru, and Mr. Pradono, is there anything else you wanted to cover before a wrap up? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Before a wrap up, we also have 3 participants' names who has first asked questions. Congratulations to Edward, Gasani Amalina, and Damayanto. You will get t-shirt as a door prize. We will contact you by email. And also for the e-certificate, please kindly fill the form and we will send the e-certificate by email. Okay, thank you everyone. Seems like time also has spared us. On behalf of Bpa.Institute, thank you to our 3 speakers, Mr. Riri, Mr. Takeru, and Mr. Pradono, and all participants for joining us today. We hope you found this education valuable in designing small and prefab architecture, and we will see you again next time. Good afternoon.
Photo.
Oh, before that, please kindly turn on your video. We want to take a picture. Okay. Please wait. To all participants, please kindly turn on your video to take a pictures together.
Okay, ready, big one. Thanks, and big 2. Okay, finish.
Okay. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank
See you
you.
again.
I think thank you, Mas Budi, Takeru.
Thank you, Riri. Thank you.
Thank you, Francisca. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.